Today is a historic day. Today marks 79 years of the Railway series. Obviously, this is a pretty big deal since without the book series, there would be no Thomas. The books are a cool novelty since most were adapted to episodes. However, during the adapting process, some things were changed. In honor of this milestone, I want to take a look at the books and see if I could find one story that perfectly describes what the whole series is all about. This was a bit of a tricky feat since there are a lot of bangers in this collection. However, I was finally able to find one that truly encapsulates everything the Railway series is all about. Now, I imagine my pick is bound to surprise a lot of you, since I'm guessing you all are probably expecting something like Tenders for Henry or Super Rescue or some basic answer like that. While all great stories, I think there is truly only one story that shows off the world that Audrey had envisioned. And that story is none other than Donald's Duck. That's right, I said it. Donald's Duck is the perfect Railway series story. I imagine some of you are a bit confused. Really? What's so special about this story? There's no big hero moment, no drama, no stakes. Why this story? Let me tell you why. Donald's Duck follows our two main leads, Donald and Duck, getting back at one another after the other retaliates. It's just harmless fun throughout. It's a very playful story involving two friends. Sure, Tenders for Henry has Gordon finding out his whole family is dead, but this one has duck hijinks. Okay, but for real though, this story showcases something we never truly get to see. The relationship between the human world and the engine world. Yes, the engines are retaliating at one another, however the crews help them just as much as they do. Rarely do we get to see these two worlds collide in this way. Normally, they're just used as extensions of the engines, but here they are main players. They are vital to the story happening, and the only other time we really get to see a relationship like this is in Birdie's chase. It's great that Audrey gave these nothing characters some personality. Not only do they showcase the relationships between human and engines, but the duck is there too. Wait, why do I keep calling her a duck? Her name is Dilly, and she is great. She has no dialogue and is just a goofball. Honestly, really sad that she never appeared again. Like in the same season this episode was adapted, we saw Henry's Forest, an episode that has been a core part of Henry's character for years. Like when Brenner was bringing back everyone and kept making callbacks to the classic series, I'm surprised Dilly wasn't even mentioned once. Like in season 20, there were renders for the twins and an actual duck, so why wasn't there at least a small nod to it? It would have been so easy. Okay, rant over, but I like how Dilly's inclusion kinda humanizes the engines. You see it when Duck asks,
"I won't hurt her, will I?"
I like this inclusion a lot since, just like all of us, he still worries for the well-being of an animal, showing that even though they're engines, they still have the same humanity we do, making them no different than us. This story also does another thing perfect: world building. The opening introduces us to the Little Western, a coastal line on the island of Sodor that Duck operates with the Caledonian twins. Up to this point, we had seen harbors, shunting yards, and the countryside. However, it was nice to finally check out some of Sodor's beaches. The first illustration is just beautiful. It traps you into this scenic beach route. It's the type of drawing where, if you look at it for long enough, you could hear it. Also, this might sound a bit weird, however the engines aren't really treated like engines in the story. They're written just as characters first, and the engine aspect is an afterthought. That's typically a bad thing, but here it kind of enhances the story. You get the vibe that these are just two coworkers that have been friends for years. It's a really comfy story that really drives home what these books are all about. They feel very human in the story. They don't have to prove themselves or accomplish an impossible task. It's simply just friendly banter. To be honest, I kind of hate this quote for how overused it is, but like, come on, it's just too good. You're not merely writing for the children, you're writing for the unfortunate people who've got to read the stories over and over and over again. I do think this is an important quote when discussing the Railway series, since Audrey knew his series was geared towards kids, but wanted to make sure that it was enjoyable for adults. I mean, it clearly worked. Have you seen the fandom? So why bring up the quote at all? Well, I feel like whenever people bring up the quote, they use it as a way to sort of justify why they like the franchise. They'll always bring up the quote and some slightly dark theme of an episode or a book and be like, but look, it's talking about death. It's not just some baby show. Look, it has deep messages. You don't need to do that to justify why you like Thomas. Just because something has dark tones doesn't mean it's any less of a kid's IP, and Audrey knew that. Yes, this story is playful and innocent, but it's grounded and traps you into a world that feels real. Nothing is played down to the kids, the story is presented as organic as possible. Yet, it's entertaining. Even now that I'm older, it still keeps me invested. I'm going to be real, there are definitely some episodes and stories out there that are just plain boring. This isn't one of them. Also, can I talk about that title for a second? Donald's Duck. Okay, so the two main characters are Donald and Duck. The main prank involves Duck giving Donald a duck, making it his. Therefore, it's now Donald's Duck. However, the title is also a reference to the two main characters. And not only that, it's a play on the name Donald Duck. Audrey must have known he cooked with that title. It's just too clean. While not as grand as an engine proving themselves, or as suspenseful as another escaping death, this story about two engines and a duck is the best example of what the Railway series is all about. This story just sort of amplifies the storybook nature of the Railway series. Oliver the Great Western Engine just might be my favorite book in the series, and it opening up with this story is a huge point in its favor. It showcases the relationships between humans and engines in an organic way that was never really repeated. This story went on to get a great adaptation in season 3 and inspire one of the most influential songs released in the past 50 years. If I was asked to describe the Railway series in just one story, it would be Donald's Duck.